All right. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of our weekly Wednesday Lunch and Learned. Every Wednesday, I get the opportunity to get to interview some of the top agents all across the country to learn about how they got into the business, but also how they are growing during these times. So today, I'm delighted to have Jocelyn with us here out of the San Diego market.
Yes.
Jocelyn, welcome to the show. Please tell everyone a little bit about yourself. What did you actually do before real estate?
Hi, Spencer. Well, before real estate, I actually was in the financial industry. I worked at Wells Fargo Bank for the longest time, and then I went into the telecommunications industry and I just stumbled upon real estate. Actually, I wasn't even looking for it, but it fell into my lap, and I'm so glad it did because what an amazing career to be able to do something that you love. You get to help people and just really make a difference in people's lives.
Awesome. And so how long has it been now? And did you get into the business just kind of cold turkey, as in this complete transition, or did you do it some on the side initially?
Actually, it was kind of cold turkey. I've been in it since 2003, and that was like right around the time that I was, getting married, having babies. I was very, I just feel like, God's timing is always right on. I was in transition with work, and the company I was working for asked if all of us would move to New York City,
Oh, wow.
and I just wasn't ready to leave the Southern California lifestyle, as you could tell with my sunglasses on. So I decided to take the severance package and came across someone that was looking for actually a real estate assistant of all
Mm.
things. And, it was an incredible opportunity to learn because I just so happened to be working for the two top agents in Rancho Santa Fe. And so those of you that know the luxury market, that's the most expensive zip code in San Diego County. So I learned from the best. And again, I wasn't even looking for it. It just kind of fell into my lap. And again, it was just such a blessing in disguise. So,
Interesting. So tell us, kind of
yeah.
walk us through like the early days, right? Like
Yeah.
how did you get your first clients? And was it easier or harder than you thought it would be?
It was easier, and here's why. I did it so organically. Back in 2003, I mean, Facebook wasn't, I mean, it was around, but it was not as, wasn't using, any social media at the time. But I think it was just kind of like, you run into people and, you say, hey, how are you doing? And this is kind of how I've gotten most of my clients, but this is how I was able to break into the business is, when people say, oh, what are you doing now? And, you mentioned that you're in real estate. And when you're a young agent, it's hard to like, start that. But I just think that as just get people to know, trust, and like you, and just being there for them, it makes a huge difference. But I really think that I got my flurry of activity was during the short sale market.
Mm.
Those that know me know that I'm a very, I just want to always be there for people. So when a lot of my like family and friends were going through the distressed times with short sales and foreclosures, they kind of looked to me as like a trusted resource. And so that was really when I said, you know what, I can do this and I can do this like on my own. I don't need, not that I didn't need anyone, but I was really like afraid to like take the full leap into real estate full time. But that's when I said, you know what? I am offering an incredible service. I'm helping people. I mean, the money comes when you do that. When you focus your mindset on doing your business that way.
Nice. Okay. So, and then walk us through like today, are you a solo agent still? Do you have a team? Like, what's the makeup of the team? And can you share production levels? Is this year the best it's been for you?
That's so funny. So I have been a solo agent for a very long time. Just during COVID, I actually do real estate coaching, which I highly recommend because as it's so great to be a solo agent and just kind of do what you need to do. But I kind of realized that I needed to take my business from being a real estate agent to being a CEO of my business. And one of the things that my coach recommended was that I do get a full-time assistant. And I remember being super nervous about it because, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to be responsible for someone else's livelihood.
Right.
But, it was probably the best decision I ever made because, during these times with COVID, you really start to realize, what's most important. And of course, helping people, my career, I love my career, but at the same time, family, health, things like that. The intangibles are so important. And I was realizing that I was spending so much time doing the things that I shouldn't be doing, that I definitely decided to take the leap into starting a team. And my coach definitely recommended that I start with a full-time assistant versus getting buyer's agents or other agents on my team. The
Right.
thing is, like, that's going to come shortly, because what the assistant has allowed me to do was to take away some of the administrative things that, I there's a better use of my time that I should be doing to bring in more business. And, the assistant has, taken that on and has run with it. I mean, it's been such a blessing. I'm like, how did I do this all this time without her? So
Yeah.
it's been fun. And, as far as business, I would say that this year has been a good year. It's actually, there was a point where it was kind of slow. And I think that was kind of just because for me, I mean, again, I was focusing on my family, focusing on my health. Unfortunately, I had a really good friend that passed away during COVID. And so, that kind of just makes you stop in your tracks and realize, just kind of like the importance of life, and just, just kind of being in the moment. So, it's definitely like picking back up again, though. I mean, I would say that the fourth quarter of this entire year is probably going to be my strongest. And I'm probably going to end the year probably around in the, like, gosh, 15 million mark. So I'm
Mhm.
excited about that.
Nice. Okay, cool. And
Yeah.
what have you done differently over the years as you kind of grew the business? Like, were there is there anything that you doubled down on? Is there anything that you spent more time and efforts on? Like, what were the changes over the years?
Let's see. Gosh, so many. I don't even know where to begin. Um, Again, growing my business organically again. I just, I'm one of those ones that doesn't spend a whole lot of money on lead generation, because if I look back, I'm really good about tracking. I mean, that's, something that I'm sure everyone does on this call, but, if you don't already, then you should definitely do that. Just track everything that you do in the day, track how you get your business. And when I went back and looked at where I got my business, most of it was referral and word of mouth and Facebook. I mean, I just got a client the other day. It was a Facebook referral from someone else that I didn't really know that well. So, again, I just feel like it's just providing value. I'm really big on, people reach out to me all the time and say, hey, do you know someone that can do this? And I guess I just become to be known as someone in my sphere that always has resources. And again, I get nothing in return other than the satisfaction of referring business out to other people. And it comes back to me like tenfold, because I just have come to be known as just a resourceful person. Because we know that not everyone buys and sells real estate every day. So, again, I think it's just being, that constant, you know, presence on Facebook. And again, I think it's good to also show like your personal side and show that, hey, my life is not just all about real estate. I have hobbies. I have daughters that play basketball. I drink coffee all the time. People know me as a Java with Joss, and they want to make appointments, and I love them because I always say, hey, let's grab a cup of coffee, because it's like a no pressure. Everyone loves drinking some sort of beverage. Whether it's coffee, tea, cocktails. But again, it's just to just establish that human connection. And that's just kind of what I've been doubling down on, especially during COVID, because I think people just kind of miss that, interaction. And I know that we can't always do it in person, but, for those that, can or are comfortable doing it outdoors, I definitely embrace that.
Right, absolutely. And so tell us a little bit about the local market. Like, where do you service? What is your average price point? And what do you see happening in Q4?
Oh my goodness. So I service San Diego, pretty much San Diego County. I've lived here in my entire life. And so just the other day, my title rep and I got together and just kind of mapped out like, my business. And we're like, she's like, wow, you have a certain concentration, which is like Rancho Penasquitos. It's kind of like the I-15 corridor in San Diego, where I
Hmm.
focus most of my business. But really, I've been all over the place. And it's just because, again, having grown up in San Diego, I have friends all over the place. Average price point is probably in the $800,000 range, and it is. I mean, just like everywhere, it is a hot, crazy market. I mean, there's such low inventory right now. Buyers, want so badly to get in on the market, and it's hard. And what has helped me is, again, longevity in the market. Having been in real estate since 2003, I know a lot of agents too. And that's another thing that, I'm sure everyone on this call does it too, but just having the relationships with other agents and always taking the high road with whatever transaction. Like, I'm sure we have all come across transactions where like, oh, I never want to do a deal with that person again. But, you
Mhm.
just kind of have to say like, you know what? Let it go. It's in the past. We all got to our end result. And again, just taking the high road and just, always like having great communication and great relationships with agents helps because you just never know. Like if you're going to write an offer on a property, you never want to be go well. Thankfully that's never happened. But again, having
Right.
good relationships with other agents is amazing. Because I don't know how many transactions I've gotten through just because either I've known the agent or I know someone that knows someone, that kind of thing. But yeah, the real estate market is hot in San Diego. So my message now to sellers is like, hey, if you can sell, if you have somewhere to go, I mean, now is the time.
Right. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem or the situation across the board. It's anyone that's considering to
Yeah.
sell. While historically we've had seasonality for most places around the country, this year is certainly very different. And still, there's still a lot of buyers out there. Like I'm working with more buyers than ever before. So,
Yeah.
maybe
Good.
after the kind of the election results may have changed some confidence. Maybe it was the announcement of the new vaccine, right? So there's all these like interesting
Yeah.
catalysts. So, but the buyer side is as strong as it's been. It hasn't slowed down. But the
I
listing side
know.
seems like it's slowed down, given maybe the people that wanted to sell have sold, and the people now we're coming to the holidays, so not everyone will want to sell during this time. So it's certainly interesting, but it's certainly a very good time for those that are considering to sell, because you have a lot of people interested in homes at this time.
Yeah. And that's so funny that you say that because, I'm with Compass and part of our, one of our uh, benefits is a CRM that has the AI artificial intelligence that says, hey, these are the people that are most likely to sell right now. And gosh, you just never know. I mean, I feel like real estate is sometimes a split second decision. You just never know, what you're going to do. For instance, I had sold my house a couple of years ago and we decided to rent because, for whatever reason. And I wasn't really in the market to buy a house, but kind of, came across an opportunity that I couldn't refuse. And again, it's so funny. And I tell my clients, like, they laugh. They're like, Jocelyn, did you just buy a house during COVID? I'm like, I sure did. And then they're like, wow, that's awesome. I said, what's funny, guys? I didn't even plan on it, but it's just sometimes, real estate, you just never know when an opportunity might cross your path. And sometimes you just have to jump on it. And like being human on like Facebook and social media, saying, hey, you know what? Real estate isn't always, something that you plan. Sometimes you're not even like, expecting to buy or sell and you just, it just happens. So, if I can like ever even just plant a seed with a seller that says, hey, did you realize that your home is valued at XYZ? They're just like, man, you know what? I didn't even like think about selling, but oh my gosh, now that you mention it, I have a lot of thinking to do, but as you said, Spencer, I mean, like the buyer market's hot. The listings are slowing down a little bit because it's easy to sell, right? The hard part is where do you go from there? So, as long as you can kind of help come up with some solutions for sellers, hopefully that will like help, agents get more listings.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The always the challenge right now is, if they sell, where do they move? Or, I mean, it just depends on their situation. I mean, some people have rentals. I mean, the rental market has not done as well, so some people may elect to
Yeah.
cash out at this time. So just it's always interesting because everybody has a different story. Like I had a client meeting this morning, and she's selling so she can do an addition for her home, which is great, right? She has the money to now
Ooh,
make her current home bigger, and
yeah,
that's
that's
she's
a great
selling a rental property,
idea.
right? So there's all sorts of like means
Yeah.
and ways to make it work. But yes, they have to have some reason to do it, which is the interesting part. So in your kind of, if the average
Yeah.
price point is like 700, 800, like walk us through what kind of home can you buy for 700, 800,000? Like paint a picture of how many square feet, what's a bedroom for that price.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So again, I'll just speak to the market that I'm most familiar with, which is my own backyard of Rancho
Yeah.
Penasquitos, which is 92129. The reason why a lot of people want to move into this community is the schools. Poway
Okay.
Unified School District is deemed one of the best school districts in the county. And so a lot of, the prices are a little bit less expensive than if you go a little bit more west into like Carmel Valley, which is probably more in the like million two price range. And, again, for 800, 900,000, you probably get like a home that's like, 19, like late 80s, like early 90s, most of which might need a little bit of updating. Again, a lot of homes that do not have HOA in Melrose, which is great because there are a lot of new communities in San Diego where the Melrose is exorbitant,
Yeah.
and a lot of people just don't want to pay that. They don't, they would rather use that money towards their home than those taxes. So that's kind of again, the picture. Probably like 3, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, somewhere in the like 1,800 to 2,300 square feet range. That's kind of like
Okay.
the sweet spot. And again, but
And how
it's
did
really the schools.
got it? And do you live in that community yourself?
I do. I live in this community. I've lived here on and off since like 1991, and
Mm.
it's been really fun seeing the like influx of like, you know, because my parents moved here in 91 when I was, graduated high school already. And so I didn't partake in the schools when we moved up here. I lived with my parents until I was about like 20.
Sure.
But my little sister, who's 7 years younger, went to all the schools. And so she definitely benefited from the amazing school district. So again, that was in the 90s. So I get a lot of calls from empty nesters, that in fact, the house that I bought was, an empty nester, someone whose son had graduated from high school and was going
Mm.
away to college. And the family said, hey, we don't need to live in this big house anymore. Let's give another family a chance to live in this community.
Right.
It's been kind of nice seeing like the influx of younger families. And there's some, families that just say, hey, man, I just love living here so much. It's such a great small town community that I would never leave. And I love that too. I mean, I love seeing, grandparents like, walking their babies because, the parents dropped them off to babysit. But, and it's a very, very, very diverse culturally community. I have a funny story for you, Spencer. When I was, gosh, back in 1991, I was Miss Rancho Penasquitos. So
Oh wow.
I had
Okay.
won a local pageant here, and I know it's not funny. So the thing that I touted Rancho Penasquitos as was being probably the most culturally diverse community in San Diego County. So I remember,
Huh.
I'm Jocelyn Lomahan, or back my name was Soriano back then, Miss Rancho Penasquitos, the most diverse cultural community in San Diego County. So it's kind of funny, like being that
Right.
representative for the community, not knowing that how many years later I would end up becoming a real estate agent here.
That is pretty wild. I hope you
So that
use
was
that
kind of
as your
funny.
marketing, all your marketing.
You know what? That's so funny. I don't, but maybe I should. But it's kind of like
You
one of those
should.
like, oh, that's so funny.
Yeah,
But you
that
know
is
what?
really
Again,
funny.
back to community. Another thing.
Right.
Another thing that with community is I actually am on the town council. Am I back?
Yeah, you're kind of cutting in and out, but yeah,
Can you hear me? Just was
I can
gonna
hear you now.
say,
Yeah.
I'm on the town council for my okay. I'm on the town council for my community, and I think that's another great way of just being a good resource for your people.
Interesting. What is a town council in your community per se? I think I might have lost you.
Group. Oh shoot, I'm sorry. Did I lose you,
Yeah, keep going.
Spencer?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, sorry. Again, it's a volunteer group that is kind of like the eyes and ears of the community that knows about things coming from like city council, and just is kind of like the voice for our community. So we do a lot of
Hmm.
events. We just had a Halloween event where it was a drive-by trick or treat, and again, it was just something to bring the community together. And every year we usually do a fiesta.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So again, just being again just visible in your community because you become like the trusted source.
Nice. Very nice. And
Yeah.
so we'll go ahead and kind of get to the conclusion and start wrapping up. But moving forward, like how do you see things being impacted locally? Do you still see it's just going to continue as it is? Does it seem like it's slowing down by any means right now?
No, people ask me that all the time. They're like, when is it going to drop? And I keep saying, like, guys, I don't know if it's going to do that anytime soon. I mean, I feel like the
Right.
interest rates are going to remain low for a while. And, again, it's the desirability. You know, sorry to make everyone jealous, but San Diego is such a great place to live. I just don't ever really see the prices going down much. If anything, I think they're going to continue to go up. So, I think that that's going to keep our market afloat. But, just like, I've been in the business for a long time, so I've seen the ups and downs, and I'm sure, unfortunately, we might see a few short sales come back again. But again, just like anything, it comes back around again. And as, you're just being there for the clients for whatever their chapter in their lives are.
Right.
If you have clients that are going through a tough time, you're there for them. If you have clients that are like, man, I have all this money to spend, I don't know where to spend it. I mean, you're there for them. So, again, I just feel like, again, just being a trusted source for our people is really, the best thing that we can do no matter what market we're in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's the beauty or the sad part in a sense of real estate, right? You'll have some that are just celebrating, their first house and taking that step together as a first time owner or one that does a trade up. And then unfortunately, there will be situations, not so much right now per se, but there may be situations where people are, having to let go because of some sad reason, whether it's a divorce, death, or whatever it may be. So it's certainly it's this job. A lot of even my clients tell me it's like a therapist job than anything else, because it does get pretty emotional. So
I know.
yeah, it
I
certainly
say
gets
that
emotional.
all the time. I I feel like I'm more of a counselor.
Right, right. Yeah, because there's just so much emotions
So
involved, which
funny.
which makes a lot of sense. So Jocelyn, well, thank you so much for being on the show and appreciate your time. I know you're on the road, so obviously be safe. But what are the best ways for people to get in touch if they have an interest, especially in the community that you serve?
Well, definitely, I have my phone with me all the time, as you can tell. My phone number is 858-204-2323. And my website is thekeytosandiego.com.
Oh, amazing! That's a very lovely website. Very nice.
Thank
Well,
you.
yeah. Jocelyn, well, thank you so much for
So
attending and sharing kind of your story, the background, your pageant story as well. And it's very nice to meet you. And hopefully, everyone else that's tuned in found some insights about what's been going on, about how she grew her business, but also what is happening in her local area of San Diego. Of course, I will see you at the next one. Thank you again, Jocelyn.
bye, Spencer. Thank you
Bye
so
bye.
much.
You're welcome. Thanks for making it to the very end of my YouTube video. If you like the content, please hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that little bell as well, since it'll give you notifications of when my next episode is. If you know of anyone that is considering to buy or sell a home here in the Bay Area, I'm never too busy to help more people. Always welcome to have a conversation, regardless if you're ready to go right now or if you wanted to buy 5 years later. Click on that calendar link and then you'll be able to book an appointment with me and love to have a conversation about your situation. In the meantime, I also do have a monthly newsletter, so feel free to hit that link below, and then you'll be able to get my updates, personal updates that I write once a month in terms of what is going on with the market and some of my latest activities. Hope to see you at the next one. Thank you.